And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob. So the last few days have been, last week and a half have been extraordinary. Um, so I have, you know, if you've listened to my stories, thanks for the thumbs up. Um, I am, you know, had an interesting life, right? And you know, I was had the George and Inga Solanovich's art school. I bought that in 2003 or four. And I had other places around the country that I would spend my time in. A couple places in Florida, other places in Virginia and Tennessee, and other places. And I those last 10 years, between 2004 and 2014, I worked as a negotiator for desperate corporate lawyers. Right? I would be their last gasp hope to get moron, really stupid rich people on board to a contract, and otherwise the court would address it, and the poor lawyer who was the ombudsman trying to negotiate it wouldn't get squat, right? Even after they put in lots of hours. So they would be, desperate. So they'd get me, and I had over those 10 years a 100% rate of getting people to sign on, right? And so I got paid ridiculous amounts of money for doing nothing and not working more than 11 to 20 weeks a year, right? So I led quite a hedonist life because, I had led, a monastic life. I had led a scholarly life. I had led a activist life. I had led an artist life. I had led lots of different lives. And that's what this life's about. Why you are in that ugly bag of water. This is an avatar. Your body is not you. Your soul isn't even you. Your soul is the basic server between your experience here in the down low material 5 sense world to your spirit. And if you go read the New Testament, and Jesus constantly talks about the spirit, not so much the soul, right? And if you guys have any kind of spiritual fortitude, go online and look at the Dead Sea Scrolls, because that's, the New Testament. They all talk about Jesus, but there's Luke and there's John and there's this and there's that. There's Mo, Larry, and Curly, but there is no place where Jesus writes something down. He's the smartest one, He's God incarnate. So why didn't they write him down? Well, they did, and they spirited it away, And you have to realize that Christianity, that which was based on Jesus' teaching. Before Jesus, there were the Nazarenes. They were a number of sects of, Judaism and even Islam that were teaching the same things that Jesus was teaching. Right? So that's why it almost doesn't matter. And that's why reincarnation kind of makes sense, because if you only had one shot at this, and pretty much you're going to fail, then God would be a feckless God. A guy who likes to, put the fly in the candle flame. So if you have unlimited shots at perfecting yourself. And back in the day when Moses talked to the burning bush up there with the sheep up on the mountain, the burning bush said, go to Egypt and set my people free. Well, it wasn't to let the Hebrew nation lead them out of Egypt. No. The setting of the free was to set themselves free from themselves, from their ego, from their personality cult, right? And so Moses said, "Well, okay, I'll think about it." I mean, it took him like 40 years to make up his mind, but because he knew what he was up, he's a smart guy. Anyway, the burning bush gave him. He said, "Listen, okay, you do this. You keep coming to me, and we'll talk about it and how you're going to do it. And by the way, I'll give you a shot at asking one question, and I will answer it honestly. I won't give you any mumbo jumbo." And so he got in those days, your name really said who you were. So Moses, a smart guy, instead of asking him some kind of rabbinical question, how many saints on a pinhead, he basically goes, "What's your name?" Now, in the King James, the answer of the burning bush is, "I am who I am." Well, that's no, that's what Popeye says. What he said to Moses is, "I am a work in progress, and you are my reflection." And so that says it all right there. Right? And when he says, "You are," not Moses, all our relations, everybody, and not just a Homo sapiens sapiens, but all our relations is, every animal, creature, species, you name it, feathered, skinned, furred, hot blooded, cold blooded, everybody, down to little biological critter, right? And so, bottom line is, um, you have to basically realize this, right? And the only way you can realize this is if you sit in meditation. And basically, meditation gets you out of yourself. Meaning, I discovered meditation when I was in prep school and I was on a swim team and I was a long distance swimmer, right? So everybody else was practicing starts and this and that. And all I did was swim pyramids, one fast, one slow, two fast, two slow, three fast, three slow. And I would do it all the way up to 24 and then all the way back down. So that was like, 120, maybe 200 laps of the pool. And so I had one lane, us long endurance swimmers, there was two other guys, and we just swim, I started swimming, halfway in the pool, another guy starts swimming, and then another, and we had two lanes, going this way and going that way, right? And there were another 9 lanes in this big pool. It was a town pool. So that's all I did. And so I swam and I swam and I did my turns and I swam and I swam and I did my turns and I breathed and I swam and swam. And one time I got to a point where I was no longer in my body. I was no longer in the pool. I was surrounded by a white light all around me, right? And I was looking around and what am I sitting? I'm sitting on something and I looked down and I was sitting on a flower, a lily, in the water, right? And I kind of looked at it and I realized that I was the lily, right? And so, anyway, and then all of a sudden there was a splash in the water that the lily was in, and someone grabbed me. And anyway, so it was my coach, and he's like 90 years old. And so he jumped in and he said, everyone's gone. You're just swimming and swimming and swimming. And I'll let you do it for a while. But then I realized you weren't going to stop. So I jumped in to get you to stop swimming. So he goes, "You left your body, didn't you?" And I said, "Yes." And this guy was Coach Foot Trick. He was 90-something years old. He had been at 36 Olympics where he won a gold medal for long distance swimming and a platform diving, right? And he was Jewish, right? And this at the Nazi Olympics, 1936. And his roommate was, the black runner who won 2 gold medals. And when they were there, and they were in the Olympic Village, they were having a meal, and Coach Flitrick drops his fork and he bends down, and when he comes back up, there's a bullet hole in the wall that he was sitting next to. And when I came in to eat, this maitre d', they had never seen a maitre d', sat them at that table, right? And there was a hole right where his head was. And if he hadn't dropped his fork, the bullet would have gone through his head before it hit that wall. And because they didn't want him or that black guy to show that they could, outshine the white folk. And now we're experiencing, oh, kids, we had to talk about how we're so great at being racist. And, people going, oh, well, I was then and this is now. Nothing, come on, guys. And what's really interesting, there was a minister, a Methodist minister, and he was just before they marched him into the gas chamber. He said, when the Nazis came for the Jews, I wasn't Jews, so I didn't care. When they came for the gays, I didn't care. When it came for the communists, I didn't care. When it came for the unionists, I didn't care. And when they came for me, there was no one to care for me. So all these white people who are all, well, white people. I'm a white guy, I fit the bill, and I'm a guy, and yet I'm a lesbian. My first wife said I was the best lesbian she ever felt. I was a lesbian. No, I'm an African American that's melanin challenged lesbian. And that's pretty much human race. We're this kind of gradating scale. We're not just this. We're this gradating scale, And so I had to go to, like right now, I'm wasting my time meaning I should have gotten a pair of shoes, a orthopedic pair of shoes 4 months ago. Then I wouldn't have sores on my feet. Then I wouldn't have to go get an operation. But they make more money out of the operation than they do out of the, getting me a pair of shoes that would take care of my feet fine, And that's the whole thing about our healthcare. It's about the process of profit rather than the process of wellness. And so anyway, Coach Fulcher jumped in the water, stopped me swimming, and we went. And instead of me going back up to school, he took me over to the coffee shop, and we talked about meditation. And he said, I had the same experience. I was about your age, a long-distance swimmer, and I left my body. And he goes, not everyone does that. It's just these few people. And he had been a counselor, he had been a shrink, he had been a doctor too. And he was very interested, and this is 1969. And this is before autism and ADHD and all of that stuff. But those people were still there. They just didn't have names for them. They called them crazy, right? And he said that these were evolved people, that they understood the world. They saw more than five senses. They saw the six and above. That's when I heard that term, 6 and above. And so he says in meditation, and then he said psychotropic drugs, because he had taken them before World War II, because he stayed in Europe after the Olympics. He went to France, he went to Belgium, he went to a lot of other places, and he went to Switzerland. And that's when he decided he's going to be a doctor and a pharmaceutical doctor and pharmaceutist. And so he got into mind-altering drugs back then, right? So that's me. I always have these amazing teachers and mentors. And I am just trying to pass it on, move it forward. Now I'm 71. I'm trying to be that teacher for you. And most people, so I tell stories, right? And either people are enthralled, or, as John is a good example, because that's why I call him the canary in the coal mine, because he is an example of the dysfunction, because he has, I have, body dysfunction, you're just eating too much, I have no money, but I brought some food to cook for John because I had no idea what he'd have in his house after not being there for 18 months. And he had a ton of food, but he hadn't put it in the fridge, and it was all rotting on the floor. He had bags and bags and bags and bags of food that were on the floor. And then he had cans and cans and cans of food in the refrigerator, still in the bags. And they were kind of, and he had the fridge turned all the way up, so they were freezing and popping and so the first thing I did was clean up the downstairs kitchen, right? And threw all the rotted food away. Started a big soup, a vegetarian. I'm an ethical vegan. Yeah, eating raw hot dogs. And I had a bunch of cheese, right? Because I get it, the company cheese, and certain supermarkets have real good deal on cheese every now and then, the $6 block of cheese now costs 80 cents. I'll buy five, right? Put them in the fridge and eat those as one of my protein sources. Anyways, I brought two things of mozzarella, fresh mozzarella. And the first day I go in and look for them, I was going to make nice little pizzas with them. And he had eaten both of them, like within the space of, when I was downstairs cleaning up downstairs and, went in the fridge. Oh, he just, you know, and that's not how you have a healthy diet. You kind of have a discipline about what you're eating. I eat mostly vegetables. I eat protein. I eat, chicken and fish, and I can't eat like beef because I have no teeth. You really need to chew that to keep it in your mouth, and the enzymes in your mouth will dissolve. Hey, there's Alan. Hey, uh, you've been too long. Great to see you again. You're looking great. Much love. Thanks, buddy. Yeah. So everybody who's on here, say prayers because I'm going to go have surgery in a little while on my feet. It'll all work out because I have energetics and I keep my eyes open. No, 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 don't do that. Do it this way. And the doctor I saw yesterday, he was like, I gave him the 411. I'm not gonna just take, an attitude of that you're the doctor and I'm the patient. I do it. No, you're a friggin' moron until you prove that you're not. And I said that to him. Anyway, so here we are, in June, and this month we are going to have a disclosure and then an encounter with extraterrestrial, at least advertised extraterrestrials, which will really, you think COVID-19 kind of shook things up? Wait till every religion is shown to be false because these guys are from somewhere else and they're going to come and say, we own you. Back about a million years ago, we showed up and it was an interesting thing going on here, all these dinosaurs and stuff. And so we took some DNA and we took it back to the lab and we cooked you up as slaves. And that's why we have a slave mentality. We were bred to be slaves. Anyway, and different crews get exposure to that information and become the holy grail of that motif. The Egyptians were definitely those guys, the Babylonians, and we still have Babylonian slave banking. Banking should not, I mean, China does not charge interest. And that's why their economy shot off like a rocket ship. And National Socialism and Nazis did the same thing. And Abe Lincoln tried to do the same thing, and that's why he got shot in the head, you know? And I have all these scholarly friends who, try to trip me up and, call me up or have me call them. And I have an interesting conversation with them. And they all have these scholastic points of view. I have a buddy who's like, I'm an expert on the Israel Palestinian thing. I'm blah, 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 blah. And I keep saying that conflict is just a poster boy of the conflict of what humanity is having with the construct of who and what we are, right? That we're this avatar bag of war, and we are taught to believe this is me, this is who I am, but it's not. And then you say, oh, then my soul is who I am. And it's not. It is basically a server. And who and what you are is this collective spirit, the Holy Spirit. That's you. And let's see. Hey, everybody, if you're going to send me something, do it all in caps because I can barely read. Every beast wishes for an optional cocoon with the surgery. Every every best wish. And it's really no big deal. It's not like I've had it done. I mean, when I was really sick, man, I had sores all over my legs, and they wanted to cut my legs off. I said, no, we're going to take care of this. And then they got me orthopedic shoes, and that took care of it, right? And then I wore those out, and I went to get another pair, and the doctor who gave me the prescription for those shoes had died. It took me 5 months of like wrangling bureaucratically to finally get them to give me another pair of because well, we need another prescription from that same doctor. I said, but he's dead. Well, we need it from him. I mean, that is the essence of the bureaucratic mindset, right? So really, the thing that would take care of my feet is, and I would go buy them and not eat anything, but you can't get them without a prescription. And then the moron, oh, well, you got to get the same doctor to give you. Now, this is, I'm a guy who understands the medical model, who's a medical dude himself, who knows what's going on. Just think of the millions of people who don't have a clue. Why do you think so many people died during the COVID era? Same kind of thing. And one of the things, so if you have pneumonia and you die of that, the hospital gets, like maybe $1,500. Die of COVID, you had to be put on a respirator and go into ICU, you got 30-something thousand dollars. So why do you think so many people died? Now, again, I didn't say this from the beginning, and we've been talking now for how many minutes? 21 minutes, 22 minutes. And good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Abib. And don't believe a word I say. These are all stories for your entertainment. Mentioning of any names or places or things that even resemble what you think in reality is just a story. Right? And if you want to read more of my stories, go to xratted.blogspot.com. And if you want to drop anything in my PayPal, which would be really nice, because this is my third time driving the 40 miles back and forth. That's why you've seen me twice so far this week. So drop it into PayPal. And when they ask for the email address, it's thedudewake42@gmail. Thedudewake42@gmail. And if you want to talk to me personally, and where we can talk about stuff that's not on the World Wide Web, you can get a hold of me at thedudewake42@gmail. Right? But if you want to drop some mail in my PayPal account, I'd love it. Haven't seen anything there in a while, but I'd love it if you could. Anything helps. Because, and I was talking to somebody about this the other day. I live very comfortably, I mean, when certain things like this pop up, I might have, then it draws down on what little pittance I have in the account. 42@gmail, right? So continue with the story. So this year, 2021, is going to make 2020 look like 2020 was like going to Dairy Queen, right? And, we're going to have food shortages. The internet's going to go crashing down because it's already crinkling, and people are taking advantage of this, So around here, gasoline was, because of the, oil benchmark is still pretty low. And when that pipeline froze up, which was a total scam, they basically, the gas around here shot up to $7 a gallon for a day, right? And you could only, and then, once things went back to normal, gasoline, instead of being at $2.69, which it had been, it had been going between $2.50 and $2.69 for a number of months. And now it's at $2.89, and it's going to stay there. So they went like that, 20 cents a gallon, and they're making some serious bucks because they know that they're going to have to stop. And they knew back in 1891, there was a conference on extraction of resources and what that meant. And all the things we're talking about now, the imperialism, the white Anglo imperialism, all of that, and its effect on the environment was already known. I mean, the Greeks knew it. The Romans knew it. The Mr. Newton knew it. But they didn't care because they knew it was off in the near past, soon, long time. I'll be dead, kind of future, but not now. And everyone's talking about global warming. Whenever you hear the state telling you something, just take the other. Like when Georgie Boy said, "No child left behind." Well, fucking every child is left behind now, right? We have no education. We are got a group. We're like what it was in the Dark Ages. Soon we will be sleeping with pigs in our house. Because there won't be any food and any meat, so we'll start getting ourselves a pig and a chicken and leaving it in the TV room because the internet won't be there. They won't be watching Hulu, and so or Jeff Bezos TV, and you will have to, Elon Musk put 15,000 satellites above your head, and when it comes crashing down a few months after, he's going to come out and say, "Listen, I got this new kind of thing, and it's called the Elon phone, and I'm giving everyone one free, and basically." To get this, you're going to have a little sensor surgically applied here. No big deal. It's kind of like taping it to this part of your body. And this phone, yes, you can speak in it, you can look at it, but everything will go into your cerebral cortex. And that little thing will be, you won't need a driver's license. Well, you won't have a car because you'll have a Tesla car. And when you go, I want to go to a certain place, the Tesla car will appear in your front door and take you to wherever you want to go. And buying food and all of that, I'm teaming up with Mr. Bezos, and you just think about what you want. You'll see the menu scroll in front of your eyelids, and you'll say, "I want that, I want that, I want that," and it'll come straight to your house, right? And there will be no money. And the more you are a good citizen, living the life that the Musk document has put forward, then you'll have all you want. But when you say no, when you complain, when you tell a story like Sensei Al Bob, you will be, no, that car doesn't show up. So you got to take the bus. And if you keep complaining, you can't take the bus. Then you can't, then you have to ride your bike. Then they take the bike away because it's owned by Musk Incorporated, So that's going to be, coming out September, October, November, sometime like that. Because the internet's going to crash sometime between the 4th of July and August. And then we're going to have a spike, like, whoa, which in America, and it'll make what happened in India today look like nothing. So get ready, So that's why I tell you these stories. So I've been talking now 29 minutes, okay? So, and it's now 9, So I'm going to, for another half an hour, I'm going to tell you a story. So I told you the story about how I went to Brazil and built a big fancy replica of Xenon's the Disco on the beach in Buzios, and it's still there. I don't know if they still call it that, but a friend of mine, I told him this story, and he went to Buzio, and it's still there. So the thing is, Buzios exists because the Nazis didn't just go to the moon and to the South Pole. They went to Argentina. They went to a lot of places. Boys from Brazil, and so they started a hospital there. And that hospital, when the rat line, that close to 2 million really nasty Nazis escaped any kind of prosecution, right? and they went down to South America to then go to um, South Pole and then go to out into space. And they've been out in space, since 40, 41, 42. And they really, once they perfected gravomagnetic propulsion, uh, they've been everywhere, right? So, and then through Operation Paperclip, we got 70,000 of those Nazis, and Werner von Braun was the poster child of that. And he wasn't a nice Nazi. He was a major in the SS. And Paul Munda had an underground factory where they used, you know, slave labor from the concentration camps and basically worked them to death. You know, about 30 to 100,000 over the 5 years of that facility, and others like it. They, died of that, just worked to death. And then if they were, cantankerous, they would stick them on the roof of the underground facility. And while they were still alive, kind of, which would motivate the people to work harder and not really, you know, complain. So, or do I mean they used to try and the B-1 bombs and the B-2 bombs and the other stuff. They would like strip wires so that Anyway, so that's what we have in America. Same thing, but we are bought off. It's a mixture of bread and circus, which in our case is fast food and flat screens. And so when the empire fell, and it fell before the Holy Roman Empire showed up, and it went into debauchery, corruption, kind of what we got right now. We had the best legislatures money can buy, and anyway, so there I am in Brazil, right? And this town is like super tourist town for the Euro trash, rich Euro people, and who want their tummy tucks and their tits made bigger, and get the scars off their face, and the really bad pimples. But they were also there for criminals to change their face entirely, the bone structure, everything, and give them new fingerprints and genetically engineer them, because that's the only way you could kind of do this. And J.J. Abrams had a really good show called Fringe, right? And there were two sides of the same coin, right? And the guys from the other side, the up down world, would come to our down up world, and they would send in agents, and these agents had the mechanism that the Nazis had to change. They would kill somebody, let's say a policeman or a CIA agent or a politician. They kill him, and they would put this thing under the palate of his mouth, because that's the roof to where all the nerves to your brains are. And then they do it to themselves, and they hit the button, and it would morph their body into that person, kind of turn them into silly putty for a minute or two. They would change into that guy. They would turn it off, and they would harden up as that guy. Then they'd get rid of that body, usually throwing it into a furnace. And J.J. Abrams' movie, Fringe, his TV show, excellent, because it pretty much said what was going on, right? And that was like, 15, 16 years ago. So, and X-Files, Chris Carter, same thing. Go watch those. There's, then he did a couple one-offer seasons years later, and he had another show right after X-Files closed down. He had a show called, and they've been out there. That's why our economy has been hollowed out. We have sent trillions of dollars to the breakaway civilization. Go to dark journalism. The guy is all over that, and he has great people like Joseph P. Farrell and Catherine Austin Fitz. She had been an economist at housing HUD, and she saw the flows of money going through all different elements of government. Where's that money going? And that's once she kind of found out, and she's tried to raise the, hey, wait a minute, everyone look at that. They try to kill her. They called her every bad name. They fired her ass. She couldn't get a job in academia. She was like well-respected economist. And that's what happens. Look at me. But I never really. I do this right. There's 400 cadre, and maybe another 400 watch this, and that's fine. The powers that be like this information out, right? They just don't want it to rock the boat, and they right now rocking the boat is okay. Like I said, they're going to have. I would bet dollars to donuts this month, June, there will be disclosure. And they'll talk about everything that's been done, who did what, when they did it, and because all those people are dead. And they're going to see, we had to do it because of this, and the Cold War, and blah, 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 blah. Hey, we got all this other technology. Hey, we don't have to worry about oil. We don't have to do this. We have free energy, blah, do. And we have our space brothers. Everyone has to, we're going to rebrand everything. And sorry, but all of your religions are just hoax, just a business plan to rip you off. So, hey, we're going to be nice. We're going to give you a set amount of money. If you're good, you'll have all you want. You'll be living in a digital wonderland. And that's, what's the story. So, then I'm in Brazil. I meet the lady, the madame. She is the front person. She's running everything, but she's not. The Nazis are. They have this big hospital up on a hill, and they have a clinic where people go, but only the rich people who fly in go up there, right? Anyway, so I start doing this, and I start my usual changing things, so the guys I would hire to build this thing, instead of paying them 30 cents a day, I paid them $5, right? And man, what are you talking about? How can you? I said, listen, it's going to be good for your business plan, because once these people have money, they're going to buy more stuff from you. It's going to work out good. And once we get this thing going, I wanted this. You wanted this thing beautiful and gorgeous. Well, people getting paid 30 cents an hour, not going to do a great job, and they're going to take forever. So pay them $5 and give them a bonus that we get it done within a month or two. You'll be online in 2 months. And it was, right? And then the staff we had a staff of 100. Why didn't you just have 4 people? I said, no. You have all these rich people who want the best service. They expect it. They're exceptional, so you got to, and we have to have really good chefs. We have to have good entertainment. We have to have the best of everything. And we, out there in the middle of, Buzios, that place was making 20 grand a night. So we had, 20 to 50 people working evening, getting $5 an hour. It worked out. And so she basically said, oh, okay, you're going to give everyone that. And the whole economy and the tenor of everything, that place that started to spin like a top. Everyone was making more money. And so one day, I would go have lunch with Madame, and she no longer looked like Jabba the Hutt. She was thinning down. She was going to the club, dancing. I had yoga on the beach. I had all the pretty girls show up at sunset. We do sunset yoga and sunrise yoga, and the club was on it. And when we built the club, I got myself a really nice apartment, because I was Rick, and I would have my place upstairs. And so the one day, the madam she came by and she goes, the doctor wants to see you. And I said, doctor? Oh yeah, the man who runs the place. Oh yeah. All those people come and get their face changed and their fingerprints changed. And she goes, you know that? Of course. And I said, I see this guy come in from England, and he's got this credit card, and he's charging up a storm and drinking a lot of Don. And then he goes away, and then this guy comes with a lot of bandage around his head, and he's still got the same credit card. And then, and when I look at that, he hands me the credit card. I dust his, I take an imprint of his fingerprints, and then once the bandages come off, and he's got a whole different face, he's got a whole different ID, he's got a whole different credit card, and but his voice sounds the same. So anyway, I go up there for a fancy dinner, and I don't go to the hospital. He has a hacienda that's further up on the peninsula and up higher. And I go up there, and it is fancy. It's like Versailles, really very nice, right? And there's about 20 guys and the madame and me and her lawyer and the chief of police. That's our party. And the women are these like straight out of Playboy penthouse, unbelievable, perfect, kind of women, and they're just hanging on these guys' arms, right? And we have little hors d'oeuvres, and there's a waiting staff that's like three people in white jackets for every one of think you want a drink, they're coming there with the drink. You want that hors d'oeuvre, they come with the hors d'oeuvre. You don't have to ask or put your finger up or anything. Anyway, so I'm observing all of this, very strange, and we had this big fancy dinner, and the doctor, the head honcho guy, he has me sit next to him, right? And he then puts, two or three of these really amazing looking women in the evenings around me and him. And Madame, she's a little further, she's not in earshot. So the only person who can hear him talk, really, when he's like talking like this, is me. He's talking to me. And he goes, I'm really impressed with everything you just kind of waltzed in this place and changed everything for the better. That's pretty frigging amazing. I said, that's kind of what I do, you know? And, if it's not fun, then I'm not doing it. And so that's, you want to make things better, make it fun. So he's going, if we knew that back in 36, we'd probably have won the war. And I was like, huh? I said, so you are a Nazi? I said, so I pretty much twigged that you're doing genetic engineering here. And he goes, yes. And we perfected that back in Auschwitz, in 39, and we perfected, we conquered death and time and space. Uh-huh. I knew that was possible, but I didn't know they did it in 39. I had an inkling, but not. So he's telling me everything straight up what it is, right? And so I go, okay, that's nice. And so we have this really nice dinner. Then a few of the boys go, again, his guys, and a few of the girls go into the men's lounge. And Madame, the lawyer, and the police chief go home, right? But I stay there with the other Nazis, these pretty girls. And the girls take off their clothes. And it's like, Eyes Wide Shut. It was exactly like Eyes Wide Shut. The orgy scene, Eyes Wide Shut. Right, me, right? That's it. So all the other Nazi guys are having the orgy. But me and the doctor, not so much. He goes, do you want to take part? I go, not really. He goes, well, these women are clean. I made them. I said, made them? He said, yeah, they're genetically engineered. I said, they're clones? And he goes, well, they're more than clones. They are the feminine, they're what I call fembots, and they come from what we were doing, making super soldiers. Okay. So he's like laying it all out right there. And we're smoking these blunts, these, genetically engineered tobacco slash bud. Not like two things. They were like together in the most perfect of perfect circumstances with a little taste. They've been like cured in absinthe. So you smoke these suckers. Whoa! And so there's this other drink that kind of, so you're really stoned and you're really out there, but you're sharp as a tack, like the old crone's second pot of tea. But he made it into a nice liqueur. Anyway, so we're sitting there watching this orgy going down. It's like watching a porno movie. And, we're drinking this, he called it ambrosia, and smoking this bud. And he goes, I've longed for a friend like you, a student. And I'm going, oh man, here it comes again, and now it's coming from a eternal Nazi, and he wants to tutor me. We need people like you. I said, okay. And what's my addiction? Knowledge, understanding. What's the real story of what's going on? And so, I'm going, okay. So we become friends, and we have lunch, once or twice a month. I go up to the hacienda. His car comes for me, and I go up there, and and so and once in a while he will come down to the club to Rick's on the beach, and he will come earlier in the afternoon, and he will leave a message. Hey, I'm going to come visit, and so I would have our chef and everybody make the nicest everything because I had a really great veranda on the backside of the club, and it was a big long veranda that kind of came around, and then steps went to the backside of the club where the stage was, and that's how I could unobtrusively go up to my place. And there was another big steps that I would make my grand entrances in, but that veranda was really nice because it kind of got the east and the west and the south, and it was covered so the sun wouldn't burn you up. And we sat there, and there were fans to keep whatever keep you cool and keep the bugs off you. You don't need to use DEET or off; just have a fan, right? So, and it depends on what you eat. If you're eating cheeseburgers and Coca-Cola, the bugs are going to eat you alive, right? So, anyway, it's 10:07. Another 10 minutes, and then I'm saying goodbye, and I'll come back and finish the story. Right? How about that? Okay. So anyway, so we have a really good friendship. This guy is really charming and nice, and stuff he knows is unfriggin' believable. And he's got photographs and movies and you name it. He's got documentation of everything, backing everything he says up, right? And basically, once in a while I say, so why isn't this out in the public? Why isn't and how can you keep it a secret? It's easy to keep. And reason why we're keeping it, it's a matter of control. If we gave people access to this, it would be tough to keep them. It's hard to keep them back on the farm once they see Paris. And I said, okay, I get that. Hey, Megan. Let's see. Yep, I type it. Yep. Now I can read it. When you put it in caps, I can read it. And there's fish. Hey, fish. Morning, all. Yep. So anyway, so me and the doctor and his number two man got married to a native and had these beautiful daughters. And one's like a party girl, one's an economist and is in London, and the other is a doctor, and she runs the clinic for all the people, but which is like the front for the hospital, giving everyone um, you know personality changes. So anyway, she I meet her early on. She's very nice. I go. So when we go to Sammy Shoe and have lunch? Okay, Sammy Shoe. They made crepes. Really nice place on the beach. And we'd spend. She'd have she'd get one lunchtime till 4 o'clock, and then we'd go and walk the beach, and we go down to my friend who was a reincarnation of Jesus Christ and Jimi Hendrix, and he lived in a cave. And when the tide came in, the water covered the cave, and when it went out, and the whole ceiling was covered in tarantulas. But he had Sears furniture in there. The type your grandma has, Louis the 14th, and it's covered in plastic. I don't know where he got that, but he had a couch and a table and a armoire and a bed, and here in that bed, the whole ceiling undulated with spiders. Anyway, we would walk there, and he had really good too, and he was really interesting guy because he was the reincarnation of Jimmy. So he played the guitar amazingly. He had a great voice that like Jesus. Everyone listened whenever he spoke or sang. He was the band leader of our band, and he would play the set that he was going to play that night for us. Right, we'd get the show first, and we'd sit there and smoke blunts, and he had really good Irish whiskey, and we would sit in Louis the 14th chairs and listen to him, and then he'd tell us interesting things like very Jesus-y, right? And he was a scholar the Dead Sea Scrolls, and he'd say, "Well, I wrote them, so I know what's in them." So anyway, and he was always pretty much almost naked all the time. Really tall guy, whiter than white, red hair, blue eyes, and about somewhere between 6'2" and whatever. And he'd always wear these kind of like little diapery shorts, nothing else, and bare feet all the friggin' time, right? And so that was my life. Morning, I go with JoJo, my little assistant from the fishing village, and we go to the building site. And then once the club got up, we go there and make sure everyone was on the right page for the evening opening. And we were open 7 days a week, never closed. 7 days a week. Sunday we were open from 11 to like 24 hours, right? So they could have brunch on Sunday. So anyway, and it was Saturday, and pretty much Saturday and Sunday we were open 24, 48 hours, right? Monday was our kind of, everyone showed up later, not like at 8 in the morning, but whenever they strolled in, as long as they got there by noon, it was okay. So that was going on, and so the young female doctor, who was my buddy, my lunchtime buddy, became one time, after about a month of the club being open and we're having lunch and then visiting Jesus, and then she would come almost every night to dance with me, right? So after, a month of that, she goes, "I've never seen your apartment upstairs." And I go, "Okay, let's go." So we went outside around the back of the band because I didn't want to make the big, stairs, because everyone would see us go up together to my apartment. So tongues would wag. So kind of, we went up the back way, went there. I got the good stuff, and from the doctor had ambrosia stuff and some of his blunts, and we lit up and drank that. And then she goes, "All right," and she stands up and she just clicks off the two little things on her sleeves, and her dress falls to the floor, and she is totally naked. She goes, "I am now your girlfriend, and you are now my lover. Let's go." So this girl was an acrobat. She was a doctor who knew every point of the body. And so we had a good old time. And this was a few years after my second wife died. And this was the first girl I really had a great time. I had girlfriends, but nothing like this. I'm starting to feel a little tenderness, and my heart was warming. And so we did that for a good 4 months, right? And what she really wanted was to marry me and move to London, where she could be a doctor there and teach at, Oxford, right? That's what she wanted. And I said, "Well, marriage." She goes, "No, we have to marry. For me to get out of here, I have to be married to somebody, who's, high on the list." I said, "Oh." Anyway, so one day, she comes over to me, the evening, and she kisses me on the cheek. By this time, everyone knows that we're a thing, so we're not like hiding it. And she kisses me on each cheek. That's a very European thing. And she goes, "I'm going to London tomorrow." I said, "Really?" She goes, "Yes, I'm marrying the Duke of Larry over there." And the guy was, and the doctor was going to like put him in his machine and kind of turn him into a semblance of a human being. And she goes, Madame's lawyer has, I will own his everything, and when he dies, I will be a duchess, and I will be able to do whatever the heck I want in England. I much would have preferred it with you because we have a great time, and you can come after this guy dies. You can come and visit as much as you want. I said, "Well, okay." And I was a little saddened because she was one of the bright spots of my life. So a few weeks after that, the doctor, we're having lunch, and he goes, "I have a project for you, and this is why I've been telling you all this stuff. And at that point, I'm going to leave you hanging on the cliff, and I will be back after I have my surgery. So sometime after 1, I should be done because I'm going to drive over there and bug them to see if they can do it now. So, anyway, that's the story right on the cliff of where the Nazi doctor is going to send me, right? And remember, if you want to send anything to my PayPal account, you go to PayPal, and when it says what is the email address, it is thedudewake42@gmail, right? So it's great to see you kids there. How about some more thumbs up? Go tell your friends. Let's get more. We've gotten to that 400 mark. Let's get to 500. Let's get to 1,000 so I can friggin' do this on my cell phone and not do it on my laptop. So anyway, I'm leaving you on the cliff, right? And so we're going to come back and I'm going to tell you what the Nazi doctor told me about the meaning to life, what's going on, and that he had the whole friggin' timeline. And and that was 1988, no, 89, and I've been watching it click off everything he said. So come back later this afternoon. I will try and get on for around 1 p.m. Okay, so keep an eye out for me, and some more thumbs up. And I love you guys. And let's say a little prayer. Father Sky, Mother Earth, Holy Spirit, bless us indeed, enlarge our territory. Put your hands upon our shoulders and keep us from evil so we will do no harm. So in every day and every way, we can take love's co-created peace and bring it to earth and bring heaven, which we are in, and get rid of the hell that we are now. Okay, so that's the story. Come back around 1 today, this afternoon, right? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to Dreamy Dreamland, and we're going to get out of here and go get my feet operated on. So everyone think good thoughts for good outcomes, right? Because good thoughts bring good words, bring good actions, bring good deeds, which bring good outcomes, okay? So put those good thoughts in your head. And I love you guys, and I'll see you around 1-ish. I'll give it a good shot. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do.